David Beckham was a good football player, a damn good football player, but he transcended football with his marriage to one of the Spice Girls and all his clothing line, and undoubtedly an iconic figure in
last
England.
year, I think, which
Very
is incredible.
But as far as being a pure footballer, I've told you this before. When England came up to play against Scotland and they named him in the team, it was a relief for us to have him in the team.
How many times did Scotland win?
They lost a lot of games.
They lost all of them against
No,
them.
they didn't lose all of them.
Against him?
But David Beckham had a sweet right foot. David Beckham was a great crosser of the ball, a great passer of the ball. He was
Scotland is now the Faroe Islands, That's pretty much who they are.
He was even a reasonable goal scorer. But to say that he's one of the all-time greats
let me
is
ask you
completely
this.
wrong.
I didn't say that. I said he was a great player. I don't, we're mincing words here is what we're doing. Let me throw some names at you. Peter Shilton, great player?
No.
Goalkeeper, Peter Shilton.
Yes, he was a great goalkeeper.
Of course. Bobby Moore, great player?
No.
What?
Very good player. Captain of England, I know. Bobby Moore, superstar, walks like a woman, he wears a bra. Come on, what else do you want to know?
Bobby Charlton.
Bobby Moore got caught stealing. Bobby Charlton, great player.
Great player. Oh, great player. Okay, great player.
Legendary player.
Billy Wright. Billy Wright's a great player. Steven Gerrard, great player?
Good player. Very good player. I'm going to tell you who the great players are when you're finished this.
Okay. Brian Robson.
Really good player.
Frank Lampard.
Really good player.
You know what?
The really great players are Franz Beckenbauer, Pele. We're talking about the great Dutch player Johan Cruyff. We're talking about Johan Klinsmann, legendary goal scorer with Germany.
West Germany, with Germany.
Eusebio, legendary Portuguese player. I mean, these are the really
you're saying Beckham's not in that category? I would agree with that.
But he's given that status, which I think is wrong.
Well, I would agree he's one notch below them.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean he's not great. I think it's the definition of great we're really getting into.
Well, it's too easily used if you categorize. All those guys you named, Gerrard, Frank Lampard, they're all solid players. They're all good international players. But you've got to reserve those guys at the top like that for that.
What we're talking about a lot of times in those cases, guys in the past. And with Beckham, the same sort of thing will happen to him. As his career slips into the past, 10 years down the road, Beckham was a great player. Lampard was a great player. We don't, for the most part, we don't put that on players. Now, there's one shining example right now playing who I think is already in the books of the guys you're talking about, and that's Lionel Messi. Messi is a great player.
Yes.
If he were to stop today, people would go one of the best ever.
He's already said all kinds.
He's a great player. Yeah. And I think it's safe to say that Cristiano Ronaldo is close to that. He's not there yet, but he's pretty close to that. And Ronaldo's a much better player than Beckham.
He's right there.
Yeah.
And that's all I mean, Bill. I don't.
But I don't think Beckham was far. I think he was right there with him. And keep in mind, the thing about Beckham, as you said it yourself, on set plays, set pieces, either free kicks, corner kick, whatever, he may have been the best ever. And that has to count for something.
He had a very sweet right foot. He was a great passer.
Fabulous
you want to name
passer.
his strengths. I've stood standing at Hampden Park, Billy, stood standing is the way we say it, before you correct it.
On the terraces?
And watched, and there'll be games where he was absolutely invisible for the whole game. You wouldn't know he was on the park. Then, of course, there'd be a foul outside the box, and number 7 would be standing over the ball. And something would happen. But he, in footballing terms, in hockey terms, he wouldn't back check. He wasn't a great tackler. He wasn't a tenacious player. He didn't control the game all the time. He'd be out in the wing. They'd get him a ball. He'd stroke.
Don't
a pass.
care. None of that, because again, a lot of that is objective. A lot of that you've seen. There are players who can control a game, and they're very rarely in it. What they do is they control it for 2 or 3 minutes. It's the 2 or 3 minutes that changes the game. They put their imprint on it, left, right, and center. And the point I'm getting at with Beckham is this particular skill he had, I think, the best ever. And I think it's a big part of football, especially the way it's played today. and I think you have to acknowledge that.
Other parts of it is that he played with Manchester United when they had great teams. He played with Real Madrid, one of the greatest sides of all time. He was surrounded by unbelievable players. Therefore, he ended up winning titles with United, with Madrid, with the Galaxy, and he's won another one this year with with the PSG, who has gone out
But he
and
wasn't
signed
really
a whack
with
of
them,
players.
though.
But yeah, I mean, whatever. But anyways, he's got 2 games left to go. The splash that he made, Bill, you and I were in the midst of reporting it when he came over, was beyond just reporting about a guy coming over to sports pages. This was enormous when he came over to the Galaxy. I mean, it was
It was huge.
the league
It was-
news story and the entertainment story. I mean, he did great things for MLS when God damn it, he didn't even play. I don't think for his first 5 or 6 games. Remember, he came up here to BMO Field.
Yeah.
And BMO Field, BMO.
Yeah, BMO.
I just said BMO, and I got the reaction. I know where all the trap doors are now. I've sat
Oh,
around
do
too
you?
long enough.
Oh.
I have to invent some new ones for
Do
you.
you? Okay.
But remember, it was sold out, and he just came out and waved at everybody.
That was good enough.
Yeah. And it was like royalty had arrived in Hollywood, of course. And what's his wife's name? I'm sorry, I forgot which Spice Girl it is. I should know.
She's
What?
Victoria Adams is her name.
Yeah, and
Which Spice Girl she is, I couldn't care
So
less.
so she came over and they became A-listers and all the rest of it. And
I look at them as annoying Spice, irritating Spice. They're
But all of that, and one of the best tweets yesterday, and I put it in our notes this morning, is it looks like now he's going to end it like Beckham. That was a pretty good tweet yesterday, instead of the old bend him like Beckham, which was a movie that they made really with his name in the title, and was a very successful one, in fact. So, and you know what, Bill? I guess his quote at the end of the day, when his dad was a kitchen fitter.
he came up from East End, London. He's and that Man U team that he came up with, a whole bunch of them young. The Neville brothers were a part of that. Paul Scholes, Scholes to me, of all those guys who came up through that team, I guess. What's his nose is still there. Giggs was one of them.
Yeah.
And Scholes just retired the same day as Sir Alex.
The Neville brothers, of course.
The Neville brothers were
moved
great.
on.
I think one of the Neville brothers is still playing. He was with Everton, and I think he's looking for a new deal. Anyways,
In fact, the guy that did the interview with him that you're talking about was one of the Neville brothers. He's now working for Sky Sports. There was an interview that was done yesterday, and one of the Neville brothers, who's not playing anymore, did the
It's Gary
interview
Neville.
with him.
Yeah. Actually, he's doing a pretty good job. I've seen him as a presenter. He's doing quite well. But the point is, all of those guys, Beckham was the biggest star from the get-go. My belief was Scholes was the best player. Now, would you say Scholes is one of the greats? Because I think he is, and I think because of his personality, he's not looked at it, but he had a positive impact on every game he played.
David Beckham was a bigger star than Sir Bobby Charlton. He wasn't a better footballer. There's a difference.
I
You
won't
know what I'm
argue
saying?
that.
Paul
Bobby
Scholes-
Charlton I didn't see play, so I can't say.
Paul Scholes is in the same category as Alan Ball, Brian Robson.
Oh, see,
the,
I
the,
think-
the little generals that ran their clubs from midfield, they were the engine room that distributed everything. They were the tenacious tacklers. They would run like greyhounds for the whole 90 minutes they were on the pitch.
Tremendous
They are the guys
passes.
that
I don't think I've ever seen anyone pass like Scholes. But I think what I was getting at with Scholes was, I think Scholes as a footballer was every bit as good as most of the guys you're talking about. He wasn't a great finisher, but maybe the best all-around player on that team.
I hated playing against him because you knew what you were going to get every game. He would start to control it, and you know what? Damn it! If there was a half chance anywhere, he'd pop up and he'd score a big goal. And he scored many of them. You know, Beckham ended up playing for his country over 100 times. You know, when he wasn't selected, it was a national inquiry. There's no doubt about the fact that his stardom, his superstardom, exceeded almost everyone that we've talked about. But that was all part and parcel of the lifestyle and the Hollywood and the A-list thing that he grew to. And you know, good on him. He's made he's I don't think he's been anything but good for the game of football.
Oh, well, you can't argue that.
No.
You know,
And he's provided a great deal of entertainment for many people as a tip of the cap. A guy I've been glad to be alive to watch when he played. I say that to you all the time. And even though he played in a shirt that I hate, as the old enemy, as it were.
Who's your team?
I'm talking about internationally.
Oh. Well, yeah, but you're Scottish. You don't count. No, I mean, quite seriously, when was the last time there was a good Scottish team?
Oh, a couple, 3 years ago, they got absolutely jobbed in the European Cup. No,
Come on.
come on. They were on top of their division. They got beat out by Italy. Then they got absolutely jobbed at Hampden Park.
Don't even start.
That was 3 years ago. That was the best they've been for a while.
Yeah, but for a while, 30 years. Hello. They have not been a part of. I don't even think they've been in the World Cup since '94.
One of the greatest compliments I can pay Scotland, men and women who follow soccer in Scotland, is they finally come to the realization and grown up with the fact that they don't have the divine right to be played in every World Cup and win in every international. It took a long, long time. Trust me. I came from the tail end of an era where we thought we invented the game of football, and it was a divine right that every Scot that walked out in the park. And we had some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful players.
How many World Cups?
Exactly. But it took a long time. The Jim Baxters of this world. Woo! Do you know who Jimmy Baxter is? Jim Baxter was like Georgie Best. Jim Baxter would go out. He went out in Wembley at one point in time. This is wee Scotland against the old enemy. And to take the mickey and shut the crowd up, he got the ball at midfield and he turned around and he sat down on it. You ever seen a footballer do that?
No.
He sat down and looked at everyone like that and said, "Come on, man. Come and take it off of me." And he's still to this day.
And you think that's a good thing?
And then he'd go out afterwards.
That's good. I just want to make sure you're saying it's good.
Legendary good. It was like Braveheart, The Scots,
it was Braveheart.
The Scots are all kind of big on that kind of thing.
Yeah, idiots.
Still to this day.
No offense.
He's got Jim Baxter's pub in Glasgow is mobbed all the time. He's such a legend. This happened way back in the bloody early 60s. Alan Gilzine and all of these guys that played, it's just enormous. Anyways.